Hey everybody, so today you're going to have a look at the context and setting in The Taming of the Shrew. Before we actually start to read the play, it's probably a good idea that you get a look, or that we have a look at what the background to the play is. So what was happening around Shakespeare at the time that he was writing it, and where is it set? Alright, so your goal for today is to gain an insight into the context, particularly the setting behind The Taming of the Shrew. Your success criteria by the end of it is to be able to show me that you know where the play was set, and that you know, or that you understand some of the ideas behind why Shakespeare wrote the play. Okay, so it's always important to know a little bit about the context behind something and why it happened or why it was written. So the context of the play. Okay, The Taming of the Shrew is one of Shakespeare's earliest comedies. It shares many characteristics with his early romantic comedies like A Midsummer Night's Dream. So some of you studied A Midsummer Night's Dream when you were in Year 8. The structure is quite similar, so the comedy is really similar. The storyline is very, very different. Alright, but you still get things in The Taming of the Shrew like slapstick humour. So a lot of falling over, people hurting themselves. The Taming of the Shrew is quite a physical play for actors. There are lots of disguises and deceptions, so people acting out and sort of trying to deceive others. So there's a lot of people who are not quite as they seem in this play to start with. We have an almost happy ending. It's very light-hearted in certain sections, although for a modern audience it deals with quite a deep issue, okay, of husbands and wives and how they act and react to each other. Alright, so The Taming of the Shrew focuses on courtship and marriage, but looks at life after marriage. So if you guys have ever seen romantic comedies and whatnot, it always focuses on what life is like before, on the getting together of characters. Then they get together and then the movie finishes. This one's different. It looks at how they quickly get together or are kind of forced together, and then the life after their marriage. So, all right, so why did he write it? What was going on around him at the time that The Taming of the Shrew was being written? So not long before he wrote this play, the idea of marriage was up in the air for a lot of English people. So their king, Henry VIII, was the first guy or first king to ever get divorced. Now, this was a massive deal. Everyone was freaking out because in those days, if you were a king, and particularly a Catholic, which is why he didn't want to be a Catholic anymore, you didn't get divorced. All right, it was against God to get divorced, and so everybody was really worried about what was going to happen and what was going on. So Shakespeare wrote this play to look at the dynamics between husbands and wives, and particularly to look at wives who were known of as shrews. So gossipy, really annoying wives who resisted the authority of their husband or who were very headstrong. Okay, kind of what we would sort of think of women as being quite normal today, you know, not just taking what a husband says and thinking that's completely right. But the women in those days were expected to be submissive. All right, so at the time it was a big problem to think that a female didn't want to do what a husband wanted her to do. So husbands were encouraged to tame their shrews by doing things to them like repeatedly dunking them in a river if they were getting too annoying. They also got locked outside with the dogs if they were too annoying. They had food withheld from them. All sorts of horrible things happened. But sometimes strong women were seen as worthy or not, and whether he's trying to make fun of her or make her look strong. We'll see later on. So where's it set? To start with, it's set in England. All right, there's a guy called Sly who's walking up the road and he meets some players and they put this play on for him. The play is The Taming of the Shrew. The Taming of the Shrew starts in Padua, which we have over here. Really, really beautiful place, known for its universities and its forward thinking at the time. So Galileo, the guy who was looking at the stars and trying to work out whether we were the center of the universe or not, he lived in Padua. Okay, so really forward thinking. That's where Caterina starts as this independent, rough, tough chick. And then over here, when she gets married to Petruchio, she moves to Verona, where things start to change. All right, so we've got Verona, also very, very beautiful. but it was known as a city that was very hot, where people did really crazy things. Romeo and Juliet was set in Verona, okay? So everything started to change for her when she moved here. So this is the main setting. What you're going to do now is watch a little bit from the 1967 version of The Taming of the Shrew. It'll get you into the language before you have to watch 10 Things I Hate About You and before we start to read the play. Okay, so it doesn't go for very long. I hope you enjoy, and once you're finished, you have got a worksheet to do. So I'll say goodbye for now and enjoy the film. Bye.
Bianca! 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 Senior gentlemen, importune me no further, for I firmly am resolved, you know, not to bestow my younger daughter Bianca before I have a husband for the elder. Before I have a husband for the elder. If either of you two love Katerina, leave shall you have to court her at your pleasure. Oh, hideous pleasure. She's too rough for me.
I pray you, Father, is it your will to make a whore of me among these mates?
Mates, maid? How mean you that? No mates for you unless you're of milder, gentler mould.
Faith, sir, you shall have no need to fear. Such mating is not halfway to my heart, but if it were, doubt not my care should be to paint your face and use you like a fool.
Oh.
And call me a novel for the three-night stole.
Wench is stark mad. Oh, wonderful forward.
But in the other's silence, I do see maid's mild behavior and sobriety.
Let it not displease thee, good Bianca, for I will love thee none the less. My girl, who art my most obedient, loving daughter.
Pretty pet.
Oh!
Oh, sister, contend you in my discontent.